very good morning students. Today we will going to study the unit number 5. Under unit number 5 there are two major topics are there. First is a slope and deflection method, and second one is an approximate method. So let us start with first the approximate method. Okay, so I will tell you the general background of the approximate method. Under the approximate method you will going to analyze the multi-storied buildings which is subjected to horizontal loading. Okay, so we know that the building is always having subjected to the gravity loads. Okay, and the gravity loads may be in the form of dead loads, live loads, like that. Okay, but in actual practices the building is also subjected to the effect of the natural calamities, that is earthquake forces as well as the wind forces, and these earthquake and the wind forces are very predominant. Okay, and affect the building very rigorously. Okay, so the analysis of that particular forces are comes under this topic which is called as an approximate method. Okay, so let us see how to analyze a multi-storied frame by using the two basic methods of the structural analysis. First is a portal frame methods and second is a cantilever and substitute frame methods. Okay, so let us see that. So here this is a background of the methods. Okay, approximate method. So for a tall story building structure, a major cause of the failure is due to the lateral loads which may exist due to the wind pressure or because of the seismic pressure. Okay, so there are basically two methods are there under the approximate method. First is a cantilever method, second is a portal frame methods. So in both the method no consideration is given to the elastic property of the frame member. So it is also assumed that the entire wind load is resisted by the frame without any assistance from the floor, wall and the partition. So let us see that. First of all we will concentrate on the portal frame method or portal method. So in this method there are the certain assumptions made for solving the numerical of the portal methods. So first of all, the frame is divided into separate portals which act as individually at each story. So these are the some assumption that you have to follow while solving the numericals. So first of all, the point of contraflexure are assumed at midpoint of the column and the girder. Then the total horizontal shear at each story level is distributed among the column of each story in the direction proportional to width of the bay supported by the column. So for example, forces in the member A raised to forces in the member B1 raised to forces in the member C1, okay, divided by the summation of all the forces. All the forces means whatever the horizontal forces are there will be is equal to L by 2 L plus L2 L1 by 2 raised to L2 plus L3 by 2 raised to L3 by 2 divided by total L. So this is the formula. So let us see the numerical. So analyze a portal frame, given portal frame as shown in figure. So we know that as this is a portal frame, so we have to divide this portal frame into number of shear point. This is a shear point and each shear point will be acting exactly at the center of the span of each portal frame. So there are three horizontal forces are acting, that is 30 kilonewton, 60 kilonewton and 60 kilonewton at the different level of the story, and the total height of the building is 5 plus 4 plus 4, okay, that is equal to 13 meter, and at the base the dimensions are given like this. Okay, so first of all assume the POC, point of contraflexure, at the midpoint of each member. So as I define this point of contraflexure, okay, with red pen, with red dot, so you can also see that. Then second is to find the shear in the column. So first of all we have to calculate the shear in the column, and then we have to transfer the forces, and then accordingly we have to calculate the moment as well as the shear force in the particular member of the frame. So let us see. First and foremost important step is, let us consider story number 1. So always start the numerical right from the top, right from the top. So 30 kilonewton load is acting, so like this way. So we have to, as the 30 kilonewton load is acting, so this is column number 1, this is column number 2, this is column number 3. What I have done is, I have cut this section. What is this is our section. So I have cut this section from the point of contraflexion and take out this diagram, okay, just like a free body diagram. And you have to calculate these forces in B1, forces in C1, and forces in D1. Okay, if you see that it is A, column number A, column number B, column number C, D and E. Okay, so we are isolating the column, the top story of the column B1, C1 and D1. So how to calculate? Let us see. Forces in the B1 raised to forces in the C1 divided by forces in the D1 divided by total force. The total horizontal force acting is 30. So here the ratio of the, or the half of the span has to be considered from this column, because this column contribute the effect of this half span. Okay, so therefore 3/2 is to be considered. Here at the center point, half of this span and half of this span has to be considered. So 3 plus 4/2, and at the right side 4/2 has to be considered, because this span will contribute the half span and this span will contribute the half of this span and half of this span, the shear to be taken by this column, and this particular last column will take the shear by the contribution of the half span, this 4/2, divided by total length is 7. Okay, divided by total length is equal to 3 plus 4, 7. Okay, now by this way we can easily calculate the forces in the member B1, C1 and D1. These are the shear forces. Okay, these are the shear forces we are getting. Okay, 6.4, 15 and 8.57. So like this. Now second is the second part. Now we have already calculated the first story. Now second is 60 kilonewton. Now what we have done, again we have to cut the section from the point of contraflexion, and instead of that point we have to apply the horizontal shear in the opposite direction from where our external force is acting. So forces in B2, C2 and D2. Let us say the forces acting in the second story is B2, C2 and C2, as it is a part of a second story. So again here we are interested in calculating the shear of B2, C2 and C2, and the total summation of the load will be 60 plus 30, that is equal to 90. Previously we are done the forces calculation for the first story, therefore we have considered only the horizontal force of 30 kilonewton. But here, as we are moving towards the second story, so therefore here the summation of the two horizontal forces has to be considered. Now on the right hand side we have to consider the effective span length. Okay, here and here also we have to consider the half length, but at the center what we have to do, we have to consider the half effect of the span here and half effect of the span here, that is 3 plus 4/2, and at last column we have to consider 4/2 here, and the total length is 7, we know that. Okay, now we have to solve this particular point, and we will get the forces in the member B2, C2 and D2. So these all are the forces, that is the shear forces in second story column. Now let us go for the third story. So if you see the third story, again the 60 kilonewton load is acting as a horizontal force. So summation and contribution of all these forces has to be considered, and we have to follow the same steps that we have done earlier, and then we have to calculate the forces in A1, A3, B3, C3, D3 and F3. So whenever the portal frame type of numerical will be there in your examination, the first and foremost important step is the calculation of the horizontal shear forces. These are the horizontal shear forces. Let us see that. Now second is the drawing of the, this is a next part, drawing of the uh, final free body diagram of each member with some large scale and following the step to complete the free body. So this is the particular uh, forces diagram. So if you see that, it looks like very tedious and very complicated, but it is very easy. So let us see how it can be resolved. Okay, so first of all we have to transfer the force. The first force was, what was the first force? The first force was 6.48. okay, first force we have calculated. Second was 15, third was 8.57. So one horizontal force we have to apply here. So therefore in the counteract we have to apply the force symbol of the notation in rightward direction. Okay, now 6.48 is there here. Okay, and here it is 12.85 is there. Okay, so we have to multiply this particular force into the span of this particular span length of this span length of the column. So total length of the column was 4 meter, but we know that we have divided the column from the center. Okay, so here it is 2 meter, here it is 2 meter, as the total length is 4 meter. So we have to multiply this 6.48 into 2. But why we are multiplying this horizontal force into 2, why not 4 meter? Because we are considering, or we are assuming, these shear forces are acting on outer and at the upward and downward side of the point of contraflexure. Okay, and the point of contraflexure is located at the center. So therefore we have to consider the dimension of the column as a half. Okay, so 6.428 multiplied by 2 will give you the answer of the moment, because we know that when we multiplied the shear force into its dimension, because the unit of the shear force is in kilonewton. Okay, and when we multiplied this kilonewton into my particular dimension, that is meter, so the answer become kilonewton meter, and kilonewton meter is nothing but a moment. So therefore 6.48 into 2, that will be equal to 12.86. So now as this arrow is moving on the left hand side, so it will try to deflect the column in leftward direction. So therefore in order to counteract, or in order to balance this column, okay, in rightward direction, so in that case, for that case we have to apply the moment as a anti-clockwise moment here of 12.86. Similarly here 15 kilonewton is there, multiplied by 2, the answer will be 30. Again we have to apply the anti-clockwise movement here, because this arrow or this shear force will apply on the column and try to deflect the column in leftward direction. Okay, now similarly here also. Okay, so by this way we will get the answer of the we will get the answer of the moment. Okay, now once you are getting the moment, okay, top and bottom moments like this, now what is the second step? We have to transfer this moment to the beam. We have to transfer this moment to the beam. Okay, now as this moment is acting in anti-clockwise direction, so we have to apply the same moment on clockwise direction. So why we are applying the same moment of different direction? Okay, same moment of the same magnitude but in clockwise direction, because we know that at each joint, that is, this is a joint, this is a joint, and this is a joint. Okay, so at each joint, as per the principle of the structural analysis, the equilibrium condition has to be maintained. So what is the equilibrium condition? Summation of all the moment must be equal to 0. Summation of all the horizontal and vertical forces must be equal to 0. So therefore we have to transfer this particular moment with same magnitude but in opposite direction. Okay, look, here also we are applying, but here we are not going to apply the particular force, because whatever the summation of these forces will be formed, that itself by summation will give you the answer of 0. Let us see that. So first of all we have transferred this force, first of all we have transferred this moment. This is 12.86 in clockwise direction. Similarly here 17.14 is there, so we have to transfer this 17.14 here also, but in clockwise direction. So summation of this force must be equal to 0, and the summation of this moment will be equal to 0. Okay, now as it is clockwise is there, so here also it will be clockwise. As it is clockwise, so here it will be clockwise is there. So 12.86 and 12.86 and 17.14, okay, minus 30, the answer will be equal to 0, because it will be plus 30 and it will be minus 30. So plus 30 and minus 30, 0. So by this way you can directly cross check that whatever you have done in your analysis or in your diagram, that will be perfectly okay. Because one thing you must remember very carefully, that at each joint the summation of moment must be equal to 0, otherwise your numerical will be total wrong. Okay, now once you are getting this answer of 12.86 and 12.86, now just divide this 12.86 divided by the span, okay. So 12.86 divided by the half span. So what was the length of this? This is 3. Okay, so we have to divide 12.86 divided by 1.5. The answer will be 8.57. Here also 8.57. Okay, now as it is clockwise movement, will try to deflect the beam in downward direction, so we have to apply the force in upward direction. Okay, so that the equilibrium condition of this particular beam will be maintained. Now as it is the same, as this force is try to deflect this particular force as this moment is try to deflect this beam in upward direction, therefore we have to apply the downward force of 8.57 here. So 12.86 divided by 1.5, that is equal to 8.57. Here also 17.14 divided by, what is the half span length? This is 4, that is divided by 2. So 17.14 divided by 2, 8.57. 17.14 divided by 2, 8.57. तो आंसर लिखता है इस. Okay, now this transfer this 8.57 here, okay, then 8.57 here, and then 8.57 downward, 8.57 upward. What will be the net value? That will be equal to 0. This shear, whatever the vertical reactions will be formed, okay, at the center, that has to be transferred to the column in the form of an axial force. So 8.57 moving in upward direction, so we have to apply to the respective column as an axial force in opposite direction. So it will be 8.57, 8.57. Here also 8.57 moving in downward direction, so we have to apply in upward direction, and it is also in upward direction. Okay, so this upward 8.57 and this downward 8.57, the total or the summation of that particular reactions must be equal to 0. So here it will be 0. Okay, so like that we have to consider the cases. Okay, now 23.87. So next we have to see 6.87 like this, and okay, like this we have to calculate the value. Okay, so now 30 kilonewton horizontal force is acting in horizontal direction. Okay, minus 6.48. okay, minus 6.48. so it will be equal to, okay, 30, the summation of the forces must be taken into consideration. Okay, so here it will be 15.15, 15 and 6, 21. Okay, so 30 minus 6.48, that is equal to 23.57, and here also 8.57 effective length will be considered here. Okay, so that way, so in this way we will calculate the axial forces in the beam. Okay, so now we have considered, or we have calculated the upward geometry. So like same way we have to move towards the second story, then to the third story. So likewise we can calculate the forces, that is the shear force and the axial forces in the column, in the beams, as well as the moment at the corner of the or at the joint of each particular portal frame. So this is the particular methods by which you can easily calculate the various forces and the moment in a portal frame. Okay, so likewise we will see more numerical based on the same in our next lecture. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.